Hey, what is up guys, I'm Exteria, and this is the series of what I learned is the strongest thing to play and set 16 PBE, day 3. The reason why we're doing this series is because there's going to be patches every day, if not every other day, so if you want to keep up to date with all the info, consider hitting that subscribe button. There was a pretty decent sized patch today, and the things that were changed that impacted the most was Shurima. You can easily get Xerath now, because it no longer resets his progress. So this means that if you're able to get Gnosis, then you're still able to get Xerath pretty easily with the loss win loss streak, and it doesn't reset that streak. So it will just keep going until you get Xerath. Another really big thing to highlight here is that some of you probably didn't know that Mess Hall is actually really OP, and they nerfed the base damage, but it's still really OP. Every time I see someone take this augment, they just win out. And another big change would be Ryze. He got nerfed pretty hard, but he's still really strong in the current patch. And here's all the bug fixes that they did for the current patch as well. If you want to check out this patch yourself, it'll also be in the description. A tweet that is pretty important for Mortdog is that Aso and Ryze will most likely get nerfed tomorrow because they're overperforming. So we'll see if Ryze is still playable even after a second nerf. With that out of the way, Ryze is still pretty strong today. So if you want to learn how to play this comp, just look at my last video from yesterday. Other comps that is powerful to play in the current patch that's not Ryze comp would be the Bard reroll. And yes, I did explain this in my last video, but I had the information totally wrong. What you want to do for this style of the board is you want to 3-star as much units as you can here. So basically all of these units you see here, you want to 3-star all of them. Main reason why is because the way how Bard works, the more 3-stars you have, the more damage he will do. So when you hit level 6, this is all the units you want to try to hit level 3 as fast as you can. And the reason why you play with Aphelios, because he's a 2 cost, which is the same cost as Bard and Scion, and he's also a Targon, so he doesn't really need synergies. And if you do have leftover 80 items, just throw it on him. It doesn't really matter what he takes because Bard and Scion is your main carries. And usually when you're level 6, you play with essentially 4 bruisers. So this is actually pretty strong already playing this board at level 6. If you can't 3-star Laoi and Shen, it's fine, but it's more preferred, so you could empower Bard even more. And another thing about Bard is that I mistold information of from yesterday is that you have to roll 4 times before Carousel. So this means that around stage 2, 3, or even before that, roll 4 times in order to unlock Bard. If you don't do that, you will never get him. The best way of doing it most of the time is to have some sort of like reroll or econ augment. So if you do want to force it, try to get one of those so you can force this comp easily. Other than that, there's not really much to say about this comp. It's just put as much bruises as you can when you level up, and that's basically about it. Another reroll comp that's actually really powerful as well would be Gangplank Reroll. And this is the way how I played it. There might be a better way of doing it, but this is just what I did to win games with. This style of the board, you have to hit level 8 to do so because you want Aatrox. And in order to get Aatrox, you kind of have to have a Bloodthirster and a Hajj on GP because his quest is you need a unit to have at least 40% Omnivamp in order to summon Aatrox. And the reason why this board does work pretty well at level 8 is because when you're playing GP, he's a Bilgewater unit. So this synergy itself gives you tons of like econ or tons of like ways to get GP. So you want to use all your Bilgewater rolls on grabbing Gangplanks and duplicators. If not, then you look for stats to increase Gangplank's power. And when you hit level 9, you just throw out whatever unit you think looks cool at the time. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. But if you were to ask me what unit I would throw in, it would be Fiddlesticks, mainly because you get more Vanquisher for GP and Ambessa. And on top of that, Fiddlesticks is probably one of the best flex units you can throw in for no reason. And then another upgrade we can do is, besides Alawi, we can use Tahm Kench instead. Just feed the Alawi into Tahm Kench, and now you have a better tank. So that's basically about it for this comp. It's just tempo to level 7 for GPs, and then hit level 8 to get Aatrox, then 3-star GP at level 8, and play your best board, and you win out. A comp that I would say I invented, and probably might be really strong later down the line, would be AP attack speed Kaisa. If you want to see a gameplay video, it'll be this video here. It'll be in the description below if you want to check that out. Now, the reason why this works so well over playing AD Kaisa is because when you play AP Kaisa, which doesn't show here, I have to look for a different tab. I try to look from other sites to find the second ability of Kaisa, but I guess it just doesn't exist anywhere at the moment. But her synergy, a simulator, allows her to switch her ability depending on what items you put on her. So if she has more AD items, then you see this ability, which allows her to dash away and she fires missiles at enemies. But if you play AP Kaisa, she stays stationary, and for every 5 auto attacks, it pops of a burst of magic damage. So that's the reason why you want to play these items on Kaisa, is because the Rage Blade helps you stack those auto attacks, and then Jewel Gauntlet amplifies the damage of that burst damage that what Kaisa will do. And then third item, you can put whatever. Strikers is probably like one of the easiest thing to build, but I would prefer maybe Archangel Staff could be really good. But the issue is you gotta have to use tiers for Void Staff for your second unit so that Kaisa can do extra damage, and then maybe another tier to make Spirit instead of Warmonks on Rift Herald. But basically third item is a good flex slot. You can do death cap, you can do whatever you can get, it doesn't really matter. And the reason why you want to play 6 bruisers for this board is because with Kaisa's ability, it takes a long time to proc it, so therefore you want to have a really beefy frontline. And once you play this full board at level 9, you throw in Zillion. Main reason why is because Kubuko and Yumi gives more attack speed to Kaisa, so therefore she can even proc her ability faster. And Zillion's also a really good unit as well, just to execute those tanks that just never die for whatever reason. His bomb will just execute them after 18 seconds. And you may be asking, like, how do you play this board? Because there's like 3 unlock units, which is Ziggs, Volibear, and Kubuko, and basically 2 more, which is Rift Herald and Kaisa, but these 2 are really easy to obtain. When you play your opener, the best opener I suggest is to have Kog'Maw, and the best first item slam would be either Gwinsu's Rage Blade or Jewel Gauntlet, and this is actually really powerful for Kog'Maw as well. He's able to one-shot, or he's able to just ramp up damage over time. And you might be wondering, should you play long shot with Kog'Maw? And the answer to that, I would say, would be no, because Kog'Maw doesn't have enough damage to make the damage with long shot worth it, in my opinion. So I would say to throw out Lulu, because Lulu also has CC. So she basically stuns a unit for like 2 seconds. And you also get Arcanist, and Arcanist is just flat AP stats, which empowers Kog'Maw even more. So there's the reason why I prefer having Lulu over the Caitlyn in the early game. And you might be wondering, do you play Bruiser to start with? And the answer to that would be no. You want to play Cho'Gath to get that Void in. The reason why you want Void as soon as possible is because when you want to get Rift Herald, you have to play Void for 8 rounds. So therefore, try to get Cho'Gath as soon as possible, or any Void unit like Rek'Sai or something, just so you can start stacking to get Rift Herald fast. But most of the time I like doing Cho'Gath, and the reason why for that is because Cho'Gath is a tank unit, Rek'Sai is a damage unit. She is not a tank unit, so therefore Cho'Gath would be better. And you throw in a +1 Juggernaut, like Blitzcrank would be fine. When you hit level 5, you can throw out Teemo, or you can throw out Caitlyn, either one's fine. But Teemo preferably, just because you get Yordles in with Lulu, and she's able to cast more, so you can CC the board even longer. From here, you just play your best board. It doesn't really matter what you do. And if you play Void fast enough, you're able to get Rift Herald in. So you probably play Rift Herald, if not just any bruiser, because you're gonna have the pivot bruiser to play 6 bruisers later. Either one's fine. Rift Herald or like some +1 unit at level 6. And the thing about Void, which I didn't really explain yet, for Void, there are 3 different type of modules. 2 of them are damage ones that you could put on Kog'Maw in the early game, and the other one is a tank one, just put it on Cho'Gath. If you want to maximize your potential with Kaisa, hopefully you land the damage one, because if you don't, then she's going to do less damage overall. But yeah, once you hit level 8, then you want to pivot your board a bit. By then you should have Rift Herald, and in order to get Kaisa, which is very easy to do, is have 3 items on your Kog'Maw. So basically 3 items on any longshot unit. It should be Kog'Maw though, because if you're not playing Kog'Maw, then you won't be able to get Rift Herald. So by then, when you hit level 8, you should get Kaisa, and just transfer the items over from Kaisa to make her stronger. And you don't even need the Kog'Maw anymore at this point, because 2 Void is all you need. And just try to play as much bruises as you can. You will also eventually get your other unlock, which is Kubuko. You probably might get it randomly throughout the game, because all you have to do is just level up Yordles or Brawlers or Invokers. And that's the reason why I like playing Lulu and Teemo in the early game, because it allows you to get Kubuko early, since they're both Yordle units. But yeah, when you do hit level 8 though, just transition your board to all bruisers as much as you can, have the Mundo out. And crazy enough, by then, if you play 4 bruiser, you're most likely gonna unlock Volibear, because all you need to do to get Volibear is just to have at least 1 unit to have total of 3800 health. So if you have, like, for example, like Sunfire on Rift Herald or any health item like Spirit, you're able to unlock Volibear either way with 4 bruiser. So this means that we don't need Cho'Gath and Lulu anymore, and this will basically be your board. If you can't get Wukong, just take out one of the 1-cost units. Apparently Alawi is the better unit to keep in, because she does damage over Shen, which is just shield. But I prefer Shen, just because the shield does help a lot. But it's totally up to you which one you want to keep in. Just for this video, we'll just take out Shen and just show this instead. And the positioning I like to do is something like this. The reason why I like to do this positioning is because Rift Herald, the main tank will be over here and she'll be fine to protect Kaisa. And Volibear, funny enough, Volibear is not an actual tank unit. He's a damage unit. So if you have leftover AD items, you can just put on Volibear like BT or Sterax or whatever. So he'll do lots of damage with AD. You might be wondering, how do you get Ziggs? Well, if you have 3 tank items, like for example, like these items, like any random items, it doesn't really matter what you build for tank items. When you hit level 9, transfer these items into Mundo for 1 round at level 9, and you're able to unlock Ziggs. Because in order to unlock Ziggs, all you have to do is put 3 items on either a Zon unit or Yordle unit. That's basically about it. And then just trade out the Teemo for Ziggs. And you still keep Yordle in because you have Kubuko, which is also a Yordle. And then from here, you could throw out Zillion as a +1 unit, or you can throw out Fiddlesticks as a +1 unit. It doesn't really matter. Whichever one you prefer, either one of these 2. And then just transfer back your items from Mundo to Rift Herald, And that's it, how you play this board. Other comps that are still strong in the current patch would be Yunara. This one's actually really easy to play. It's just these exact units. Instead of Ryze at level 8, he's your level 9 unit. And you just play these exact units every time. To get Kabuko, you unlock him eventually. And same with Kennen. As long as you 2-star enough Ionias for Kennen and you get 2-star Kabuko as well, you're able to get Kennen either way. Or just do it early game. I have a better explanation of this in my last video if you want a better explanation, but for the most part, this version is really easy. There's different ways you can flex Yunara, and this is a different way I flex with her as well. And this one is more bruiser oriented, where you play with 3 Noxes. And the reason why this board is pretty decent is because you can put AP items on LeBlanc as well, like Deathcap, Morello, plus mana item or whatever. And LeBlanc also stuns, which I didn't even know that. When she hits her first target, it stuns and then she does AoE magic damage, so she's pretty useful with that. And Draven just gives you a lot of econ because of adoration stacks. He'll help you to get level 9 to play the full 6 bruiser board. And there's many other different ways you can flex Yunara. This is just another way of how I do it. Just a side note, here are things that I'm gonna try out tomorrow. I did have one of my friends do this and he actually won with this, where he's able to play Ashe and Tryndamere together. And the reason why this is actually pretty good for a reroll comp is because they have something called a Bloodsworn bond, where they have extra power-ups too. The unit itself, just having these 2 units together, since it's in the lore that Ashe and Tryndamere are basically husband and wife. So you can just play reroll Freljord or some sort of way of playing it. And there's a other version as well with TF and Graves, and they both have the same thing as well, where they have partners in crime. So it's pretty interesting to see that some of the reroll comps have certain power-ups, so this is good to keep in mind when you want to cook up some comps over time. But yeah, I'll get back to you guys tomorrow for the next video, if any of these comps are good. If not, then oh well. And that's basically about it of what I know for day 3 of set 16 PBE. If you have any questions about anything, I could try to answer to the best of my capabilities in the comment section down below. Or if you want to come say hi while I'm live streaming or talk about TFT and stuff like that, feel free to stop by on either Twitch or YouTube. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.